welcome Ms. Yashvi Shah to speak on positioning Hindus in admin, police, law and enforcement. Thank you.
Namaste, everyone. I pay my respects to Indigenous Australians, elders past, present and emerging, and I also pay my respects to the resistance and sacrifices by my ancestors in India who resisted and revolted for 6 generations against forced religious conversion and ethnic cleansing by invaders who unlawfully occupied Bharat. In examining the statistical data available on the number of Hindus serving in the police and law enforcement per state and territory, the government bodies classify and withhold this information to the public. But in 2010, 9% of police recruits were born in India. They don't disclose the number of Hindu Australians in the police force. I am cutting my speech short, so I do apologise. I do recommend more Hindu representation is to be required across New South Wales in the police force. Perhaps this pathway should be encouraged to the Hindu students who gain permanent residency or citizenship who don't have criminal records to join the defence and police force in the academy. And I've presented the slide with the statistical data and how Hindus are portrayed in the courts, and there's some examples of that if you can read it from where you're seated. As far as the statistical data on the Hindus in the judiciary is concerned, I have seen roughly about 2 South Indian Hindus, 3 Punjabi Hindus, 2 Fiji Indian Hindu barristers in the last 12 years at the bar. In criminal law, I've met a handful of approximately 5 Hindu colleagues practicing as advocates in criminal law, and only 2 Hindu sergeants as police prosecutors in the criminal jurisdiction. I'm always one out of the only 2 Hindus at the criminal law conferences and in chambers for criminal law matters. Of course, there are many other Hindu practicing solicitors and barristers outside of criminal law. My experience is within the criminal law jurisdiction. One of my most memorable Supreme Court appearances was before Justice Danji, who is the Honourable Supreme Court Judge of Hindu descent. And at that time, the barrister that I had briefed and I was instructing, Arjun Chabra is also Hindu, and my client was also Hindu. So that actually made history. We had a Supreme Court Hindu judge, Supreme Court, a barrister that was Hindu, solicitor that was Hindu, and a client that was Hindu in the highest jurisdiction court of the state. The Law Society of New South Wales has no official database recording the number of Hindu judicial officers. However, if you go into the Register of Solicitors, I think I missed that slide. Yeah, on the left-hand side there, you can just go into the Law Society website, look at the Register of Solicitors, type in the name and surname. Everyone can identify what a Hindu surname is, and that's the only way you're going to be able to Google Hindu practicing solicitors in New South Wales. There are not enough Hindu practicing court advocates in the criminal jurisdiction. I recommend the youth who do want to practice in court advocacy, criminal law does pay well if you do it well. So now we're going on to Hindu serving in government. Of course, that information is readily available as compared to statistics, in law and policing. We do need to see more Hindu voices in Parliament and initiate programs such as training to broaden the tool of the talent pool amongst Australians to really encourage future Hindu Australian candidates. And I think my personal view is, from what I've heard from experienced politicians, is that they haven't generally had access to resources or professional media connections that perhaps other religious faith communities do have. I am running out of time, so I do apologise. My slide there is quite detailed as to how we can enhance Hindu presence in policing, judiciary and law. So this is, I think, one of the most important slides. As far as mechanisms are concerned, it's my belief that Hindus are generally least represented in academia at university level, and many Hindu international students depend on religious festivities in their local community outreach and engagement for guidance, support and safety network is what we need to prioritise. All Hindu associations and organisations that are Hindu at heart across political spectrums must unite when Hindu concerns need to be raised with law enforcement and legislators. To increase Hindu presence in police, law enforcement, judiciary, what is required is stakeholdership, sponsorship and collaboration between Hindu community leaders, law enforcement and at state, federal level, and not just in the local electorates with Hindu population, but also outside of your local government councils where there is not much Hindu population. That's why I think, from my observation, what we are missing out on. We are not collaborating outside Western Sydney where there are less Hindus. That's an approach, a practical approach I think one must take into account. And Hindus at large need to establish what is efficient in sending their younger children to pursue careers in policing, law, judiciary. This requires younger Hindus to feel like their voices will be heard when they attend Hindu conferences and network with high-performing Hindu successful leaders, contact them through email or LinkedIn. Young Hindus should not be discouraged to speak up against anti-Hindu narratives or Hinduphobia in the Western community. They should have a unified platform designated to young Hindus to feel safe. Hindu parents and mentors should educate themselves on their legal and ethical rights as practicing Hindus in the Western community and should network and connect with Hindu colleagues. Collaborate, don't compete in the workplace. Reach out to other Hindu members of parliament or community engagement leaders. And Hindu adults might need to get in tune with the woke lingo, as I say. With all the misinformation on social media, I think the older Hindu leaders should really connect with the younger Hindus in our secular democracy. And Australia is the land of opportunities where Hindus have equal rights to that of other religious communities. So if you are a prospering Australian Hindu and you want to be heard in the media at the influential positions, it starts from you. Research your directories for Hindu databases and businesses. Promote Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the world being one large family. That's how to change the future of Hindu diaspora. I do have a lot of points on this, but I just don't have enough time. Awareness campaigns, mentoring, support groups, advocacy, inclusion, and training. I would like to also add that I wouldn't be alive today had it not been for my Hindu and Jain ancestors. I'm grateful for their struggles, which has evolved in my passion for decolonisation and interest in Indic dharmic history in Australia. Dhanyavad.